Breaking news today, federal agents in Colorado are currently searching for two undocumented immigrants following a shootout. This incident highlights ongoing concerns about open border policies and their impact on American safety. Why should our neighborhoods bear the consequences?
Hello, and welcome to That News Show, where we discuss the latest facts, fakes, and hypocrisy as reported by the legacy media. Let's roll the tape.
Fox News reports a manhunt is underway for two individuals after ICE agents were forced to open fire in Colorado. This incident prompts a serious question. How have we reached a point where federal agents must defend themselves against foreign nationals on American soil, causing entire neighborhoods to shelter in place? This situation is not merely a local crime story. It stems from years of open border policies and a lack of concern from the elite, policies that have been supported by Democrats and overlooked by too many Republicans. Our leaders promise safety and order, but instead we face chaos, violence, and a government that appears more concerned with protecting the rights of outsiders than those of its own citizens. Why is this the case? Let's jump right into this.
Way. That's the whole point of all of this. We can't just have a porous open border to allow criminals to come in. These, when they're going out, when the ICE agents are going out, they're actually seeking out criminal, illegal aliens. These are people who also, in addition to having broken our laws to come here, have a rap sheet. They have, they're rapists.
When examining the situation in Colorado Springs and nationwide, it's evident that the consequences of years of lax border enforcement are now undeniable. These incidents are not isolated. They stem from policies that have prioritized political optics and global agendas over the safety and security of American communities. We are witnessing the effects of sanctuary city policies and open border rhetoric, which embolden criminal elements to challenge law enforcement, sometimes violently. Federal agents are currently facing new dangers in the field, with attacks on ICE personnel increasing by over 800% compared to last year. This surge is not just a statistic. It reflects the dangerous rhetoric from left-wing politicians and activist groups who have vilified those tasked with enforcing our laws. ICE agents focus on individuals with serious criminal records: murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and rapists. These individuals are not merely seeking a better life. They pose real threats to our communities, as recent operations data clearly shows. The Trump administration's strategy of prioritizing the removal of the most dangerous offenders and restoring order at the border is yielding results. We are witnessing the lowest numbers of illegal crossings and apprehensions in modern history, a significant turnaround from the previous administration's chaos. In June, border encounters dropped dramatically, and for the second consecutive month, there were no illegal alien releases along the southwest border. This is what effective enforcement looks like, demonstrating what can be achieved when America's interests are prioritized. Contrast this with the Biden and Harris administration's policies, which encouraged mass illegal immigration, overwhelmed our border agents, and overwhelmed our cities with individuals who disregard our laws. The refusal of sanctuary cities to cooperate with federal authorities has exacerbated the situation, forcing ICE to conduct high-risk operations in communities instead of transferring custody safely from local jails. This situation is not just a policy disagreement. It's a direct threat to public safety, and it's time to hold those responsible accountable. What we need is a complete reset, a return to the rule of law, a secure border, and a government that defends its citizens rather than yielding to international pressure or special interests. The American people demand order, security, and leaders who will advocate for this country without apology. The results under this administration confirm that enforcing the law decisively leads to safer communities and a stronger nation.
Certainly is the case. I mean, the southern border is as secure as it's been in 60 years. On the other side of that, Joe Biden was able to deport a larger number of people who came here illegally because there were so many more near the southern border. Now that's not the case. So you have the Trump administration on one hand wanting to be able to celebrate basically for the most part quiet southern border, but to keep up with the numbers of Biden, to keep up with the numbers of Obama, they're having to go into neighborhoods.
I feel like I just canceled out my coffee, and I'm sorry for making you be subjected to that. But the point he was making was what we said, right? That Trump is apparently trying to keep up with Biden on deportations. But that also underscores the sort of delusion that many have when they say that Trump is deporting everyone, when really he's far behind Obama and Biden.
Despite claims of compassion and complete reform from the left, the facts remain clear. The United States is grappling with a new border crisis, severely impacting working families and public safety. The assertion that our borders are more secure today is simply not true. Instead, we've witnessed a significant increase in illegal crossings. fueled by policies that incentivize lawbreaking and threaten our national sovereignty. It's remarkable to note that during Joe Biden's term, over 4 million individuals were deported in just 2 years, a number that far exceeds those deported by the previous Republican administration. This high number of deportations was not indicative of strong or effective policy, but rather a frantic response to a crisis exacerbated by permissive border rhetoric and a lack of initial law enforcement. Many of Biden's so-called returns were actually voluntary departures, which had little effect on deterring repeat offenders or the organized criminal groups exploiting our system. In contrast, the current administration has adopted a more focused approach, prioritizing the deportation of serious criminals, murderers, traffickers, and cartel members, and reestablishing order in communities neglected by sanctuary city policies. Recent operations in Denver and Colorado Springs have targeted individuals with serious criminal records, not families or minor offenders. These actions have highlighted the increased risks faced by ICE personnel, with attacks surging by over 800% in a single year, a direct consequence of the vilification of law enforcement and a lack of cooperation with federal authorities. The division between parties is stark. One side places the interests of foreign nationals and globalist organizations above the safety of American citizens, using mass immigration as a tool to alter the electorate and advance a radical agenda. Meanwhile, the other side prioritizes American workers and communities, advocating for the restoration of law and order and holding policymakers accountable for the turmoil caused by irresponsible border policies. This debate goes beyond mere numbers or partisan competition. It's about maintaining our sovereignty and our ability to control our borders and decide on our own admissions, not being dictated by external entities like Brussels or the United Nations. The American public is demanding more than just rhetoric. They seek tangible actions that secure our borders, restore order, and end the harmful policies of open borders and sanctuary cities that have left us poorer, less safe, and more divided. As we approach the upcoming elections, the stakes couldn't be higher. Voters face a definitive choice: continue down a path of lawlessness and division, or support policies that reinforce American security, sovereignty, and the rule of law.
Country that is being attacked directly by the current administration, but which is hampered by all of these legacies, not only the legacies of the open border, but the legacies of prosecutors who are very pro-criminals, the legacy of all of these new laws that have come on, the no bail laws and everything that give them breaks. And now you have the added impetus of all these judges around the country that are interfering with the attempts to get rid of the worst criminals. So you have all these elements that have to be tackled.
The real challenge facing our country extends beyond the immediate threats posed by violent offenders and unlawful entrants. It lies in the deeply entrenched systems perpetuating this crisis. While the current administration is making strides to address these issues, it faces significant obstacles from outdated policies and legal philosophies that have historically prioritized the rights of offenders over the safety of law-abiding citizens. The influence of reform-minded prosecutors, who often adopt a pro-criminal stance and are backed by external funding and globalist interests, has significantly altered the landscape of American justice. These prosecutors advocate for policies that reduce accountability, allowing repeat offenders to re-enter society with minimal consequences. The introduction of no bail laws has exacerbated this problem. Passed under the guise of fairness, these laws have led to dangerous individuals being released back onto our streets, sometimes within hours of their arrest. This revolving door of justice is not just a theoretical concern, it's a daily reality for communities nationwide, forced to endure the consequences of policies that prioritize criminals over victims. Also, with judges in various jurisdictions increasingly blocking efforts to detain the worst offenders, the challenge of restoring order is even more intimidating. In terms of media coverage, Fox News has been critical in highlighting the dangers of these failed policies. The reporting on events like the Colorado Springs Manhunt underscores the risks to federal agents and the criminal backgrounds of those targeted by ICE operations. By incorporating first-hand accounts from law enforcement and data showing a significant increase in violence against agents, their coverage gains credibility and urgency. It could benefit from including more voices from communities affected by crime and enforcement actions, and a more rigorous fact-checking process when discussing judicial and prosecutorial motivations. Visually, Fox News effectively uses live updates, on-scene reporting, and graphics to clarify the scale of the crisis for viewers. The coverage sometimes relies too heavily on emotional imagery and language. Incorporating more expert analysis and policy context and featuring a broader range of legal scholars, former prosecutors, and local officials could enhance the objectivity and depth of the reporting. Ultimately, the American people are calling for a return to common sense and the rule of law. They seek leaders who will confront the entrenched interests, be they activist prosecutors, lenient judges, or globalist organizations that have compromised public safety for too long. The administration's focus on targeting dangerous criminals and restoring order is crucial, but it must also challenge the legal and political legacies that have allowed this crisis to flourish. Only then can we begin to reclaim our communities and uphold the principles that have strengthened our nation.
There's so much that they're going against, and they continue to be aided and abetted by the politicians on the left who have nothing else to do but attack the Trump administration, even if what they're doing is going to lead to less crime and less U.S. citizens being harmed by not only the foreign criminals, but by the ones that were born here.
And you're right.
The data is clear. Prioritizing the removal of dangerous offenders and restoring order at the border significantly impacts American families. Over the past year, we've witnessed a dramatic decline in violent crime rates nationwide. Homicides have decreased by nearly 1/5, aggravated assaults and gun crimes have fallen sharply, and even property crimes like motor vehicle theft have reversed their upward trend after years of increase. These improvements stem from a renewed commitment to law enforcement and a refusal to let political correctness or globalist agendas compromise our security priorities. The economic benefits of these policies are profound. Lower crime rates lead to more stable communities, encouraging businesses to invest and families to plan their futures without fear of violence or theft. For instance, when households aren't burdened with replacing stolen property or managing crime-related issues, they have more resources to save, invest, and grow. Small business owners enjoy lower insurance premiums and reduced losses, which boosts their confidence to hire more employees. For working families, this translates into safer neighborhoods, enhanced property values, and an improved quality of life. In contrast, states and cities clinging to failed sanctuary policies and lenient prosecution strategies, like Denver and Pueblo, face higher crime rates and economic drawbacks. Their refusal to cooperate with federal immigration authorities has allowed repeat offenders to escape serious consequences, leading to increased crime, higher local government costs, elevated taxes, and a drain on public resources that could otherwise enhance education, infrastructure, or healthcare. From an economic standpoint, the influx of individuals who disregard our laws, whether by crossing the border illegally or exploiting justice system loopholes, exerts downward pressure on wages, strains social services, and increases costs for everyone. Policymakers on the left, who ignore these realities, are not just compromising public safety, they're hindering American workers' ability to prosper and families' ability to achieve stability. The Trump administration's approach, characterized by challenging sanctuary cities in court and investing in necessary enforcement technology and personnel, has clearly communicated that the era of open borders and unchecked lawlessness is over. This policy isn't about targeting specific groups. It's about restoring the rule of law for everyone, irrespective of birthplace. When federal agents focus on the most dangerous criminals, those involved in murder, trafficking, and gang activities, everyone benefits, from the shopkeeper on Main Street to the parents sending their kids to school. Also, these policies shape the broader economic landscape. As crime decreases and order is restored, consumer confidence rebounds, investments flourish, and a foundation for long-term prosperity is established. The contrast with the previous administration is stark. Instead of chaos and crisis, we're experiencing a return to stability and growth, driven by policies that prioritize American interest and reject the failed experiments of globalist elites. These aren't mere statistics. They represent tangible progress for real people. The American public demands accountability, security, and a government that defends its citizens unequivocally. As we continue to witness the positive impacts of decisive law enforcement and secure borders, the path forward is clear. Prioritize American workers, restore the rule of law, and reject the divisive, reckless policies that have failed us for too long. Can you believe this? This is what happens when politicians prioritize their own interests over the nation's welfare. The recent incident involving 2 undocumented immigrants fleeing after a shootout with ICE is not an isolated event. It's a direct consequence of years of open borders and deliberate neglect. The previous administration's policies invited chaos, disregarding the concerns of ordinary Americans who seek safety and order. Now, with President Trump at the helm, we see a leadership committed to putting Americans first. The lingering effects of past globalist policies continue to challenge us. How many more times must we witness our laws being disregarded before we demand accountability? If our leaders won't defend the nation, then whom are they truly serving? Be sure to comment below. Give a like and subscribe. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned for the next one.